Hello, and welcome to the Gothic Jungle. Since it's spring, everyone is excited about gardening, and I've started seeing basil plants, among other herbs, being sold in grocery stores. This brings back memories of a few years ago when I bought basil plants over and over again, trying to grow the herb in my home. And each time, they would die within a week. I remember being super frustrated since I had been keeping plants alive for a little while, and I understood the basics of plant care and how to rehab my new plants. Now, before I tell you why that was happening, let me tell you about another scenario. My partner bought an alocasia poly from a plant store I had been buying some plant care supplies from, and that plant died within a few weeks as well. Well, they didn't have the experience that I had keeping plants. I told them all the basics, keeping the plant isolated for a week, watching when the plant dries out, where to put it to give it ideal light, etc., etc. Again, it was frustrating to have it die after all that effort. Well, what happened, and how do we avoid getting ourselves into this situation? Well, the basil issue was because it was a bunch of basil plants stuffed into a tiny pot with an insanely root-bound system that was incredibly fragile. I had even tried separating the plants at one go since I saw a video about that, but the root system was so rotted due to being root-bound and overwatered by the store that they died shortly after. Now, for the second plant from the garden store, it was infested with pests, more specifically spider mites, which made them hard to see unless you were looking for them or spotted their webs. Really annoying little guys, and they are magnets for alocasias. Now, what do these two scenarios have in common other than the plants dying? They came from bad sources. This is such an important thing to consider when you're buying any plant. Unless you're extremely talented at bringing plants back from the brink of death, if you buy a plant from a bad source, it'll die, you'll be sad because you put in all the effort to try and keep it alive without knowing it was doomed from the start, and you're also out a couple bucks. So, in order to remedy this, how do you find a reputable seller? Now, this can be a bit tricky, but the bottom line is to do your research. If you can go in person to a plant store, no, I do not mean a big box garden center like Lowe's or Home Depot. I mean a store specifically dedicated to plants, which adds to the trickiness since there aren't too many of those. That would be ideal since you can see the plant, squish the pot a little, see if it's root bound, look under leaves for pests, look for any hidden damage before buying it, and ask questions. But if you're buying plants online, it's a little more complex since the internet can be misleading. I made a video talking about this about a year ago called How to Navigate Online Plant Shopping, but to reiterate a few points from there, basically look at the reviews, ask for recent photos of both the plant and if possible the root system, just so you know how if it's gotten bigger, if it's kind of deteriorated in health, just details like that. Ask how long ago the cover photo was taken. That works as well because I know sometimes people charge for specific photos of plants, especially if it's grower's choice, because they aren't always near the greenhouse where everything is being grown. Check descriptions of the listings and compare and contrast prices with listings from other sellers to make sure they're not scamming you. Alright, so let's say you're stuck and you have this plant that's dying that you got from a not so great seller, but it isn't fully dead yet, still got a bit of green on it. How do you revive it? So, for example, one year for my partner and I's anniversary, they got me an alocasia tanderusa from the same shop that alocasia poly that died was from, and it was heavily infested with spider mites. Again, I found a much better plant shop after that to buy my plants from, but I was determined to keep this guy alive since it was so special to me. It was a rare plant at the time, and my partner really went out of their way to find it. So to revive the plant, I isolated it, made sure the light, temperature, and humidity were to the plant's liking, and then I started pest treatment. It was important that the environment to the plant was ideal because you're already stressing out the plant so much by bringing it into a new location with a pest problem on top of that, so you just don't want to give it more reasons to die. To treat it, I used the arbor insecticide that I'm pretty sure I bought off of Amazon and I have linked below, but you can use any pest treatment that's made for the type of pest problem you have, and there's tons of brands out there. I recommend checking the labeling of whatever insecticide, pest treatment, etc. that you buy, because they do have specific ones for specific pests. So what might treat thrips might not treat spider mites, for example. Now, most importantly, in the process of healing, the plant is patience. It will take months for pest infestations to go away because whatever bug that's attacking your plant at the time will probably lay eggs like crazy, and they do so within the leaves and the stems in your plants. So that means your insecticide might be killing the juveniles and adults that already exist, yeah. But you need to get rid of the remaining little guys by repeatedly treating the plant over time as those bugs, grow up. So I hope this was a thorough enough guide. But if you have any questions below, I would be happy to answer them. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed. Video's over now. And I will see you guys soon. Thanks for watching. Video's over now. Bye!